Hi Shri, good afternoon.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing, Gaurav?
Very good, very good. How's it for you in Pune today?
Uh, Today it's a little humid. We are expecting some rain in the afternoon and hopefully it rains. So, yeah, that's how
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, I think there's a summer heat wave traveling all across the country, right? So keep
Yeah, very
indoors.
much. Yes.
So thank you, Shri, for being a part of our podcast. We run this with a lot of professionals. We call them to give the bite of their journey, their whole professional career journey. And thanks for your time. So welcome you to the podcast of Joy of Performing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Great. So, friends, Shri is a friend and someone that works very closely with us at JOP as well. I've known him for almost an year now, and I can vouch for his depth and understanding of the space of HR, performance management, goal setting. And we thought it would be interesting for us to get Shri on the stage today and talk about his experience and how the industry landscape look like and what is going to happen in the future in this space. So welcome Shri again. Would love to you to talk about to our audience a little about your background, giving your insights, and we can start from there.
Yeah. Yeah. So once again, thank you so much. And yeah, so I mean, my journey has been in that sense, like has touched upon various areas of, you know, interest or whatever that is there. So I basically had a very dream that I would join the defense services in India, and Navy was something which really attracted me. So I have done my formal schooling in Bosla Military School, which is in Nasik. So, but unfortunately, I couldn't clear the NDA exam, and then I landed up in Mumbai, and that too in arts. And the reason for me to choose arts because I used to hate mathematics and science. Never liked those subjects. So it's at times it's easy since you know that what you don't like. It's like the choice becomes easy to know that okay, what is it that you like. So that's how I ended up. I again ended up very accidentally to psychology. I started reading about psychology and then it got me interested. So I completed my graduation in psychology, post graduation in human development, and then I just started my career with Aga Khan Education Service India, and my first job was to train the teachers to make mathematics creative for students. And I said that look, you are talking to someone who hates mathematics like anything, and you are asking me to train the teachers in mathematics. They said that since you don't like mathematics, that is your biggest qualification because you exactly know what people students to go through and why they don't like mathematics, and that's what you will communicate to the teachers. So that's how the initial thing started. But when I worked with the teachers and everything, I understood that like they know their subject well, they know how to execute it. What was required was a good support in terms of like HR, good support in terms of what is it that is expected out of them, how are this going to get evaluated in their work, how their training needs and everything are going to get met, etc., and all those things. And at that point of time I was to extensively travel across Gujarat, across Andhra Pradesh. I mean, that was Andhra Pradesh, not Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. I'm talking about some 24 years back. And Gujarat 24 years back was very different, not what it is right now. So, went through all the interiors and all those, this one. And that's how I came up with. And one fine day, I was talking to my HR head, and I told him that you are asking me to do all these things and all, but this is their area. They don't even know what is the vision, what is the mission, why they are working, their rules are not very clear to them, etc. This is all what I've been hearing, and this is the discussion that happened. And then the HR had said that why don't you join HR? And I said, oh, is it? Can I? He said, yes, give a try. You have a flexibility over here. I said, fine. And those were the times where MBA was not at all a prerequisite criteria for people to join HR. In fact, students from psychology, MSW background were chosen because the fact that they wanted someone who would understand people more and be with people more. So that's how I shifted to HR. Worked in Aga Khan, worked in a couple of NGOs, but by that time I had developed liking for HR, and then I was told that if you want to take up your career in HR, then the best way is to go to the corporates. So that's how I shifted to corporate. So my job was with Shapurji Palanji, my first job as a corporate, and over there the entire my learning is all on the job, and that's too all hands on. So I guess I did my formal MBA and everything and all after that, because by that time that was the one of the required criteria. But working in the corporate and doing everything by hand in a hands on experience gave me a wonderful exposure about as a HR as a function. And then I realized that okay, as a corporate wise, yes, you are able to visualize the thing, see how a policy can be formed, how a processes and everything needs to be developed and all. So in that way I got those exposure, but then somewhere I realized that I also need to be with business to be able to understand how HR can start supporting business. And by that time I was in Mumbai. I was tired of Mumbai, traveling almost 4 hours a day to and fro. And then I shifted to Pune, and in Pune I joined an organization called Viatech Webag. Over there I worked for almost 5 years as a HR head for their Pune and Baroda office. And over there, whatever the thing that I learned about HR, I was able to then translate it as a HR who is working with the businesses. So the nuances and all those things were were coming up, how to be more effective over there as a HR, show how HR can actually contribute to the business in whatever role that is there. So these things I learned over there. But then by 2015 I realized that even if I continued my career with corporate, I would be still doing the same talent acquisition, the same talent management, the same thing and all. Those things are not going to change, those are just going to remain the same. And then I said that let me be on my own, because one of the thing that I really thrive upon is the different thing that I get to do. So variety is something that I really enjoy. And then from 2016 onwards I have been working as an HR consultant. Yes, my work experience has been in construction and EPC, but consultancy assignment came in IT, it came in pharmaceuticals. So in that sense again I got the variety. I was able to work as a HR consultant. I was working as a coach. I was doing outbound training programs, assessment centers. So if you see, there was so much of a variety that I got, the exposure that I got, and which actually enriched me as a person. But performance management still remained the area, because somewhere down the line always believed that finally at a business level it's all about that only, because an organization exists to achieve its goals. And as long as the goals and the results are achieved, the organization is only going to prosper, and for that performance is required. So performance management remained invariably my area. And very accidentally I stumbled upon OKRs. It was really not planned or anything. It was just that I was talking, and then to one of my this one and the colleague, and he said that why don't you then to lay your hands on OKRs, because this seems to be another area that is coming up. So um, then I did my certification in OKRs, and then for the last 3 years I have been doing coaching assignments on OKRs. And OKRs has been a really very close to my heart in that sense, because uh, it's for two things. It gives me the view, the bird eye view that I always liked to have, right from how the thought process originates in the business and with the leadership and all, then to be able to work the team in terms of translating it. And one of the beautiful thing that I have with OKRs is that whenever the team have really performed, and at the end of their quarter when they have achieved their targets, may not be 100 out of 100 but more than 70%, 80% and all, then it's a recognition there and there itself. It's a satisfaction. Yeah, it's a satisfaction, it's a celebration there and there itself. So yeah, so that's been my journey so far as far as work and everything is concerned.
Wow, I mean, that's quite a journey. So, taking cues from there, Shri, if I may ask, now you've been in HR for the last 25 odd years, right? So you would have seen many transformation, many things changing. So, today, where do you think traditional performance management was, and where do you think the whole continuous performance management is going? And also, you said, one of the most important things for a business to achieve its goals. And I think achieving goals or setting up goals and having that continuous performance management is interlinked to each other. So, I think the audience would love to know about that.
Yeah. So basically, what has happened is that in my experience and with all the exposure that I have got, I have found, like, organizations are at various levels as far as their cycle is concerned. There
Hmm.
are certain organizations who have really matured in HR processes. So they have matured for their primary reason for which their business is there. It could be product, it could be service, it could be whatever that is there. They have matured in that also, and they have also matured themselves into the HR processes. So for them, it is at a complete different level. I mean, now the matured organizations are, their promotions are based on competencies. The continuous performance management is, it's in a very very simple way, is that you don't wait till the end to tell the person what is that is required for him or her to do to achieve the goal. Okay, so there is a dialogue on a periodic basis to be able to say that,
Hmm.
okay, this is where you are, this is where we are as an organization, we are as a team, what we can do to help each other to achieve the organization goal in a very very simple way. There is absolutely no complications in that, and those conversations and everything and all are then recorded, discussed. Most importantly, thus the individual and the team is supported by the leadership to achieve the company goals, which is a quite a bit of a different, wherein performance management at the end of the day is a little bit of a post mortem. The things have happened and then you are giving a feedback. Over here you are saying that, look, we both have to achieve this goal, because organization goals, achieving the organization goal, organization sustaining is going to also sustain us, our job, our livelihood, our ambitions and everything. So for us to do that, what is it that we need to do? So over here it is more of having that camaraderie and saying that let's help each other, okay, at an employee level, at a leadership level, so that we achieve it. So your ambitions are respected, our goals are respected, and let's see how we can balance it out to be able to do that. So there are organizations who have reached this particular stage. So they have taken away the ratings and everything, and all this conversation happens. The salary revision happens on different market scenarios, the statistics, the internal compare ratios and everything. The promotions are competency based. So there are few organizations who have reached over there. There are certain organizations who are in the transit. So they have departed from the traditional. They have not reached over there, but they are bringing certain elements. So one of the fantastic things of introducing OKRs, introducing competency based assessments, introducing competency behavioral as a part of their appraisal, getting into goals and key results and all. But they are still maturing as an organization in the whole process, because it takes a little time to mature that. And there are certain organizations who are still struggling to define the key results, define the goals, define the KPIs and everything. So as a judge, organizations are at a different levels altogether. So we have certain organizations who are matured and certain organizations who are maturing at this point of time.
No, very well. I think some of the key points that I take from this conversation is that the big difference between how a static performance management is done versus how dynamic continuous performance management is, right? Because
Right.
business is also changing, the priorities of people are changing. So, how do you give that feedback when it matters the most, and not just the postmortem, which happens once a year, where you can't really go back in time and do anything about it? Second, I think it also kind of cues into the conversation I want to have is about lag versus lead indicators, right? And every business, every person works on these two philosophies. One are lead indicators of how will you get there and what is it that you need to do to get to your goals. And the other are lag indicators, which you can only do in time. Once you reach there, you can figure out what is the gap and how to fill that gap. And I think it's the combination of that lad and lead indicator which kind of gives room into the whole continuous performance management. So that's great. Now, you did talk about OKRs, right? I mean, OKRs is a way to do goal setting or a strategy execution framework. There are many frameworks like MBO and Balanced Scorecard, and now it's OKR. Do you think, and what are your inputs on this, where people say that OKRs should not be related to performance management, but there is another philosophy which says that OKRs should be and could be related to performance management as well. So, what are your views on that?
So See, basically the thing is that it is not a question of should be, it is a question that when.
Hmm.
Okay, because
Interesting.
yeah, because the thing is that it is all about having, see, at the end of the day, it's a methodology. It's a methodology that you are introducing in the organization with a hope that it will lead, it will take the organization from, if it is at X, to X1, X2, X3, X4, or even to Y for that matter. Now, the the whole process, anything which, as a OKR coach, which always say, I say that, like, there are two P's that are very, very critical for you to, implement and sustain OKR. One is trust the process. You have to trust the process, and number two is perseverance. It is just not going to, the snap of the finger, nothing is going to happen. You have to, be persevered, drill down the process over a period of time for you to get the results that you are actually looking out for. So basically, whether, it's really like, and if you stick with the process, because if you see, OKRs in that sense is a very holistic approach to the, to the way the things are, because continuous performance management is a part of OKRs, definitely part of the OKRs, because review meetings, the crux of OKR success is in the review meetings, which you do in the review meetings. As you said, the lead and the lag indicators, they are very much part of the OKRs. You are actually focusing on those critical activities which are in your hand, in your control, which you do it in a day in and out, you are always going to, come near to your results. So is it important? It is important. So if you look at it, it's a very holistic approach. But at the same time, though it's a holistic approach, every organization's journey is different. Every organization's thing is, different. So if they introduce it, they will have to, do it with a trust the process. They will have to be perseverance. The perseverance is required for over a period of time to, see that, and then decide when to connect it. So in my opinion, it is really not about whether, it is a question of when, and that depends on the journey of the organization.
Well, that's great. I think very well said, because it's not one size fit all as well, right? I mean, there are different companies with different complexity in their business, different structure, different phases of life that is evolving in their business. So I think it's beautiful when you say it's not about should or could, but it's about when. Beautiful.
All right.
So there is a small section that we run, Shri. It's quite a interesting section on our podcast, which is a rapid fire. So I'm gonna fire a few questions to you, and I want you to just like come say whatever comes to your mind first, right? So for an
Right.
example, what is your morning routine? Routine, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Great. Your favorite leadership book that you suggest to our audience today?
Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book. I've read it many times, and every time I read it, there is something new that I get out of it. Where do you think organizations are going with their performance management? More continuous or still following the laggard way?
It's like, the percentage is more towards the laggard way, but I would say it's like, 60% towards laggard, 40% going towards continuous performance management.
So the movement is towards continuous performance management,
Yes.
is what you're saying.
Yes.
Great, great, great. People or business first?
Business first.
Got it. OKRs or KPI?
OKRs.
Got it. No, thank you. Thanks. This was great. Just to get your understanding of where things are. Any last thing that you want? I mean, we are coming to our closure of our podcast. Anything that you would want to leave the audience with, Shri, please.
As I said, that as I will only say with this one, that any intervention that you would do, say it is balance scorecard, MBO, based on whatever the need of your organization is, that I would say give that particular intervention its own time, some sufficient amount of time to be able to see the results. It's really, nothing happens with a cut and paste. Nothing happens at a snap of the finger. Everything takes its own course and time. So first of all, be wise in choosing, in terms of what is it that you are actually looking out for. Spend a lot of time in, knowing what is it that you're looking out for. But once you have arrived at that, then give that particular interventions, sufficient time for you to see the results. I've somehow, it, it concerns me when people are, chopping and changing things too fast. it doesn't
Right.
lead to anywhere for anybody for that matter.
Yeah, yeah. This is not Instagram for instant gratification, right? This is business. These are people. It takes time. It takes time for people to understand the culture, work with that. But the gains are huge and beautiful. So I think the patience is absolutely required, and it needs to give strategic time for execution as well. So with you, Shri, on that. And if the audience wants to reach you, Shri, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
They can either get in touch with me through LinkedIn, because I'm regularly in touch with LinkedIn, or through my email.
Great. And what would your email ID would be?
Joshi.Shreekrishna. Shreekrishna is SHREE 1975 @gmail.com.
Thank you. That's very useful. Thank you, Shri, for your time. We would love to have you back on our podcast again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Yeah.